See, guys, so why do you have to be so kind in life? I realize when you are kind, people just like you more. I realize that you have to understand that the more kind you are, the better you are in terms of life. And you have to always be more generous with yourself and other people, because when you're more generous, you're going to find things to do. You're going to have much more of a heart. You're going to have much more of confidence in you to be able to grow. And that's the whole point of life, is to just make sure every single day you're growing as best as you can every single day, so that you can really develop yourself and your mind. So you have to understand that when you go to the library, or if you go and pick up an ebook somewhere, or if you just do anything to read and make sure that you prosper and grow, I promise you that has to be your passion every single day, to make sure that you can always level yourself and in terms of life, so that you can do much greater in terms of everything that you want to do good in, for example. So you have to understand, do good every single day so you do better. You see, this is why people change. I realize people change for different reasons. It's either because they're not fulfilling their needs, or they're not living up to their expectations. So you have to realize that there are people out there that don't want to change, for example, because they think everything's perfect in their life and they think that they have enough. But you have to realize that those people who do change every single day, for example, are always going to have a new personality, or they're going to be someone much better for themselves. So that's why in my life, for example, I try to change myself every single day. I try to change one little part of me that I have never done before. So for example, I try to change one habit in my life that's pulling me backwards, or I try to make sure that I speak in a different manner. I try to do things differently. I try to make sure that every single day that my mindset is in a new place, in a new time, in a better way. And I always focus in a nice and beautiful way, because the more I focus on something that I can achieve, the more I achieve it. I see. So why communicate? I realize when you communicate, you just feel better. So that's why I communicate through audio programs and video programs and quotes and journaling things down every single day. And why do I do it? Because I get to plan. I get to plan my life. I get to organize my thoughts around. For example, I try to do better in all areas of my life. So the thing is that when I communicate more as a person, I become happier. So you have to understand that's another reason for you to be able to grow, for example. So you have to realize that the more you communicate through life, the more you can understand how to teach, the more you can understand how to be spiritual. For example, you can understand every single day what to do in life, because you're always planning things down. You're always making sure that your life is going forward. So, for example, if you don't communicate with other people, then you have to understand that you can suffer loneliness, and you have to realize that the more you communicate in daily life, the richer you get. So every single day, just try to communicate more so you do better. I see, guys, so when you start doing things in life straight away, when you understand that, you realize the Nike, you know, the Nike brand, in terms of the Nike brand, and it says, just do it. You know, so if you understand to just do it, for example, and you start doing things in accordance to your spirituality and in accordance to something greater for yourself, and you stop procrastinating, you'll understand that you're going to feel better. So you have to understand that life and people have to move forward in life every single day. And we have to always describe our life in words and through music and through imagery, for example. So if you look at my Instagram, you understand that I try to make my Instagram very visual. And the reason I do it is because I need to brand myself as a person. So you have to realize that once you just do it, okay, and you do it once and for all, you're going to feel better as a person. You're going to understand that you have to move forward as a nice and beautiful way of life, because that way you actually grow. You see, guys, this is why it's important to be living life better. So when you live better, okay, you're going to have greater feelings. You're going to feel greater for yourself. You're going to have a greater self-image. You're going to be more confident. You're going to have much more courage, for example, to actually go speak out there in terms of public speaking, or being able to really help people in different mannerisms. So when you feel great as a person, you understand why you are communicating in a great way. Because when you communicate, or when you feel better, or when you just doing things better overall, people are going to sense that you are someone of a role model in some degree, because you are actually trying your best to actually grow yourself and other people by benefiting other people, either through words or through music or through anything that you do, for example. So when you have a passion that you are so caring about, you're going to be able to grow through it, because you'll always understand that your passions are the most important. So always stick to your passions and make sure you live better. You see, guys, you have to find your means. So your means, in example, is anything that goes toward affordability. So for example, you have to understand that when you live within your means, you'll find your means. Okay, so you have to understand that you need to develop yourself in a way that you're always going to have money in your pocket, and that you're always going to have a motivation about you to keep reading and to be inspirational. So you have to understand that's what it's all about. So when you understand your means, you're going to be meaning to really deliver something that's going to be quality toward other people, because you have to understand that you have to do something in your life to just be someone who's not bored. And when you're doing something every single day that is not boring, you're going to be much more interesting because of it. So you have to realize when you live within your means, make sure that you understand that your means is what you make of it. You see, guys, life isn't fancy cars. It's not fancy women, fancy men. It's not about fancy watches and fancy accessories. It's not about living a fancy life. I realize it's about understanding your true passion in life. So you have to understand that when you have a passion that you want to expose, for example, you can expose it through either words or music or imagery. So you have to understand that the more you expose yourself out there, and the more you understand that living the life is being able to be exposed. And when you expose yourself for who you are today, and you expose your flaws, you expose the person you are, and you'll realize that no matter what happens, that people are not all that bad. And you have to understand that not everyone's bad and not everyone's good. But the thing is that what makes you you and what makes you unique in life is your ability to help people. So you have to understand that's why the more you help people, the richer you become and the better person you become. I see, guys, so be overflowing with passion. So every single day that you do something to expose yourself in terms of passion, where you explain something of your life to other people in terms of your story, or you're talking about yourself in some kind of manner, you have to understand the whole purpose of life is to teach other people to grow and to also motivate them every single day of your life, because that way you have a better outlook on what you want to do in life. And you have to understand that business is all about branding yourself, for example. So you have to understand that if you want to make it in life in a better way, you have to understand that you have to do certain things in life to help people every single day. So the more you help, the more you're going to be able to enrich your life through means of being able to really express yourself and being able to really do something every single day that's going to be happiness for you. So make sure you understand that you have to do what makes you happy every single day so that you can live a better life. You see, guys, if you want to express yourself, okay, you have to understand that you can go anywhere. You can go and do whatever you need to do in life to become successful. But the only way you can become successful is if you strongly believe in your words. And now, if you strongly believe in yourself, I promise you there is nothing that you cannot achieve. I promise you have to understand you can achieve anything you set your mind to as long as you believe in yourself. So you have to understand you have to stick to who you are. You have to project the words at people in a way that it's projected at you. And what I mean is that the more you express yourself, okay, the more you can actually become smart. And with expressing yourself it becomes a reason for you to actually live life. So you have to understand that the reason I live life is because I make meaning in my life. I try to have a meaningful life through the words I speak. And if you do that for yourself, you understand that you're going to do greater because you're expressing those words. And those words can help people. So just remember that. You see, guys, the art of words is to pronounce something in a way that can help somebody else. So, for example, the more kind you are in terms of your words, in terms of producing those words and being able to talk about something, I promise you, it makes you feel good, okay? It makes you feel like you are a somebody out there who's trying to make some kind of difference in the world. So you have to understand that the more difference you make in other people's lives, the better you feel, because you have to understand that when I post my quotes up online, or when I post some information about myself in terms of experience that helps other people to grow, I get some feedback from people and they say, hey, your quotes are really excellent, and your wording in terms of how you pronounce stuff and how you describe things really helps me to grow. You understand? So the thing is that when you have to recognize in life, when you really do something to express yourself as much as possible, what happens is you can go anywhere you want in terms of your words, and your words can travel through time. You understand? So you have to understand that every single day, try to really, really be so progressive in life to be able to be someone in life in a better way. You see, guys, this is the thing about being able to be in your feelings, for example. You have to understand that your feelings are always telling you the truth of the moment. So, for example, when you understand when you feel good in life, you're not feeling pain and you're not feeling suffering, okay? So, for example, if you put toxins in your body and if you put alcohol in your system or anything that's drugs in your system, what's going to happen is you might start to feel unease. You might start to feel unpleasant feelings, for example. So you have to understand that when you live a sober life, you're going to feel good, okay? So you have to understand that if you really want to grow, you have to understand that you have to look in your feelings and you have to be in your feelings much more often, and you have to feel your thinking, as Jamie Smart says. You have to be able to understand that your feelings are always telling you the truth every single time about every single situation. So the more you express your feelings, okay, the better you can actually act and the better you can feel and the better your cognitive function. You see, guys, your content doesn't have to be 1 hour long like I do it, for example. You have to understand that the reason I do long type of content is because I try to express myself the most I can throughout my videos and audio programs and in terms of my writing materials. But because I do content in small formats, okay, what happens is people are able to read it, okay? And you have to realize that not everyone's going to read all your content, okay? So what you need to realize is if you make small bits of content that people can summarize into something that's good, I promise you what's going to happen is your reputation is going to increase and your status around people and individuals is going to be a positive one. So you have to understand that it's all about making sure that you're always directing yourself in a way that you're speaking as much words as possible every single day so that you can understand that you can make books and books and books and books of knowledge around philosophy or psychology or anything that's important to live life. You see, guys, when you put yourself in the moment to really speak out, okay, and when you speak out, what happens is you create this nice and beautiful vibration. And this vibration goes to other people and talks about you. And it's called karma. So, for example, if you understand that if you mean good and you do good in the world, what happens is karma's going to react. And you're going to have this sense of clarity about exactly what you've been giving out in the world. So if you listen to the news and you listen to negative information, you become negative information. But if you listen to positive material every single day and you stay away from the TV and you start reading books and you get yourself invested in these books and you go to the library, it's for free. I promise you the library's for free. So you understand that there's so many books out there that you can dwell upon and you can read, and then you can start teaching what those books mean. And then you have a better life. You see, if you really want to make a difference, guys, you have to understand you can do whatever you need to do every single day to make sure that people can get that knowledge from you every single day about your experiences, because when you express your experiences, what's going to happen, you're going to have a better life because you're just expressing yourself. And when you express yourself, okay, people want people out there who are leaders. So you have to understand that when you look at Tony Robbins, or if you look at Dean Graziosi or Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn, I mean, what are they good at? I promise you they're good at communicating. So you have to be a communicator in life. And the more you boost your communicational skills, I promise you this is all I do in my daily life. I just try to every single day boost my communicational skills. And the more I read about communication and benefits about communication and benefits about speaking content into the world from Gary Vaynerchuk or other people, I promise you I develop myself, and that's the whole point of life. You see, if you want to get somewhere in life, you have to put the you in action. Okay, and what that means is you have to use the word you and you have to express it. You have to express yourself. Okay, you have to express yourself because that way you're really going to get somewhere. And you have to understand that if you really understand how to help people, make sure that you use that kind of talent that you have right now. And I promise you, you have some type of talent about you. It may be something about fashion. I promise you, it may be something about cooking. I realize I don't know what you're good at, but you have some kind of good material that you can expose out into the world. And you have to use that business of yours right now that you have in yourself right now. You have something that you're good at and you have to expose it. And the more you expose your true nature in front of people, I promise you what's going to happen is you're going to gain much more respect from people around you and you're going to be someone. But it's not about fame. But realize it's about having a greater fortune. You see, your ability to do anything in life takes effort. So the more you understand to have effort in life in ways that you give as much of yourself as possible, what's going to happen is people are going to notice. And when people notice you and they really, really appreciate you for everything you've done for them, I promise you what happens is people start to share you around. I promise you people start to market you around. I promise you they start to talk good about you. So you have to realize that if you want to make it, you have to understand that you have to do something today that's going to get you from A to Z. Okay, you have to understand that it's much more about getting from A to B first and then understanding how to communicate that into your life. So if you want to manifest your dreams, you have to speak those words. You have to speak the words of the rich. You have to speak something in your life. You have to speak and use your words to your advantage. So every single day, understand that expressing yourself and expression is key. So make sure you express yourself. You see, what people like to do is they like to stare at you. You understand? They like to stare at you to see exactly what you're doing, but they won't exactly tell you how to succeed, and they won't exactly congratulate you upon your achievements. So it's not that they're, for example, hating you. They're not hating you, but in a way they might be jealous and they might also be unaware. So you must understand that I have people in my life who look at my profile or look at my stuff in terms of what I do, but they don't exactly go out there to say, hey, I like your material, I like your quotes, I like your nice and beautiful Instagram, I like what you're doing, I want you to keep going. I mean, you actually motivate me to move forward and stuff. I mean, they don't say that to me, but I don't expect them to, because I understand that what I do as I progress is just give. You see, guys, I realize they might not be happy for you. You understand? I realize, but you have to be happy for yourself. So the only way you can be happy and to understand happiness is in the moment, in how you feel. So you have to understand, if they're not trying to hurt you, then they mean good about you. But the thing is that you have to realize that you have to get yourself away from violence, and you have to start really, really being a choreographer of life. You have to start composing your dreams. So the best way to do that is to paint a picture of words. Do you understand? I promise you, I realize when you are a pioneer of words and you actually grow your words out there and you actually expose as much words as possible, I promise you, you'll find that you can travel wherever you want to go. I promise you, that's why my special ability is to talk words. I'm very good at words. But if you check out anything that I do, it's because I want to give. I want to give my generosity that I have in terms of helping other people, and that's all I do. You see, guys, do you like to be tickled all the time? I mean, do you like to always, for example, do you like people to always touch you all the time? Like all the time. You understand that nobody likes to be really touched. Okay, like you have to understand that they like to be touched, but it's much more if you start always touching people and you're always touching them, you're going to get annoying. Okay, so you have to realize that the best thing to do here is to never touch people at all, as much as possible. I mean, never touch yourself in a way that you have to realize, touch yourself in a way that you love yourself, but you have to realize that that people in terms of life don't like to be touched too much. So you have to understand that the best thing that I do in my life is I try to stay away from touching other people. Do you understand? So when I stay away from touching other people, I find other people are happier because of that. Because like that, I'm not annoying. Are you somebody that wants to really travel somewhere? You have to understand that if you want to travel, you have a load of books in the library. You have loads of books online. You have to understand that if you want to get somewhere from A to B, you have to understand that personal development will get you there. So you have to understand that you have to be someone of a personal development freak to be able to understand that growing your mindset and your philosophy is the only thing about life that makes people successful. So you have to understand that anybody who can speak words has a philosophy. So you have to understand that if you dig into other people's minds, then you'll also understand how to dig into other people's minds in a way that you teach other people your philosophy. Do you understand? So that's the whole point of life, is to teach people a philosophy about life. Because if you're not teaching other people, then what are you really doing? You're teaching regardless of your nature right now. And you have to understand that you're always going to be someone who needs to teach. You see, guys, nobody's going to really push you in life. You have to understand that I can push you with words all I want in life, and you have to understand that some things that I might say might not ring a bell with you, but you have to understand that you are the ultimate person in your life who has to motivate you and who has to inspire you daily. You cannot rely on other people to inspire you. You cannot rely on other people totally. Okay, what you can rely on is yourself the most. And you have to understand that the more you rely on yourself, the more responsibility you gain. Okay, so you have to understand that you are a creator. You are a creator who needs to grow. So you have to understand that just like a flower blossoms and gets in the rhythm of growing, or a tree, for example, which starts off so small and then grows into a huge tree, you have to understand that's exactly what I'm trying to describe in terms of my words here, as you can understand. You have to understand that you have to grow like a tree, you have to grow like a flower, you have to grow like everything. You see, guys, the more you spread your message out there in terms of whatever you want to say, you have to understand it's going to impact someone in some kind of way. So you have to understand that you're connected to everything, okay? You have to understand that the more you connect yourself to yourself by making sure that your habits are doing better and that you actually get in the gym, you exercise every single day, you make sure that you prosper in some kind of manner that you can. You have to understand that ways I prosper for my example over here. You have to understand I prosper through books, I prosper through talking words, I prosper through connecting with people. For example, I prosper by giving my soul in terms of what I can give. So, for example, that the only reason that you have to live life right now is to help other people. So the more you help other people in terms of words and making sure you're doing something in your life to be even more than you are, that's what creates meaning in life. So you have to live a meaningful life. Do you understand? You guys have to understand that speaking words takes work. You have to understand that I speak from my experience. I speak from what I can in terms of where I've read before. You understand? So everything that you've said in your life, I promise you someone else has said it already before you. You understand? So you have to realize that you have to dig into people's minds. You understand? You have to study psychology. And the more you study psychology and philosophy and everything to do with sociology and stuff that explains that in terms of the mindset and everything to do with making sure that you're prospering and being richer and making sure you're being much more in terms of a financial state that you can grow in, you have to understand that life is about growth. And the more you actually expand your means and you expand yourself as much as you can into that world where you can give your perspective, I promise you that's the most powerful thing ever. I see, so what is the point in life? I realize the point in life is to really grow yourself into a spiritual person that you can be. You have to understand that the more spiritual you grow, I promise you, the more aware you are. So you have to understand that, I promise you, that's why it's very important to be able to read and grow, and it's very important to help other people in some kind of direction that you can. So try to do every single day one act of kindness toward other people. Do you understand? So try to amplify your success to other people in a way that people can grow. Do you understand? So what I do to help people grow is I try to speak the most words I can to them. And the more words I speak to them, the more they can actually see a direction in those words. Do you understand? So that's why I give my experience through all the words that I can every single day. And I use words to my advantage. Do you understand? So you have to understand that you have to use your talents. You have to use your abilities every single day in a positive direction, making sure that you finish off on a positive note. You see, guys, this is the thing, that in the words that you speak, you have to understand that you have to have faith in yourself. So when you have faith in yourself every single day to make sure that you're always doing better in some kind of regard, you're going to be able to realize that things always come across much better when you're actually growing. You understand? So when you actually perceive yourself to do better in life, in all walks of life, you're going to actually have a great life. So you have to always make sure you push as much content out there as possible so that you realize something about yourself, that every single day is a new day. And you have to always grow yourself in some kind of direction every single day. So make sure you make little bits of content every single day. Little small pieces of content is going to go a long way. And you have to understand that is the way to go. So every single day, try to pronounce those words of yours every single day so that you understand to get somewhere in life. So that's what you need to do if you want to do better, and just really understand to motivate yourself more. You see, guys, you have to understand that the reason I create so much videos and so much content out there is because I understand it's going to make a difference somehow. I promise you, somehow someone's going to listen to my content and be inspired by the words I say. So you have to understand that if you want to make an impact in the world, that's the greatest thing that you can do every single day, is make sure that people are growing themselves in terms of words and in terms of everything that they can do, in terms of everything that you realize that comes into fruition happens because it's either created or it's either a nice and beautiful way of life in a way that you can explain certain things around life and just make sure that you're just growing in terms of life. So that's what you need to do every single day, is make sure that you're someone who has self-esteem every single day, to grow your confidence and to make sure that people are getting what they deserve in terms of life. You understand? So the more you produce words, I promise you, the more money you have. You see, guys, when you have nothing to do, just be present with yourself. Do you understand? So, for example, sometimes I get the urge of, like, for example, that I'm not doing enough, for example. Or sometimes I get the urge that I've been, in some kind of fashion, lazy for the way I have been acting, for example. But what I do to improve myself is I try to make as much content as possible. And this fulfills me in terms of laziness and in terms of everything that I'm doing, because I'm at least doing something to succeed. Yes, and so you have to realize I get to the stage sometimes where things are working out for me, but the thing is that it's like, how much content can I make? Do you understand? And you have to realize every single day that the more content you make, the better you are. Do you understand? So every single day, when you have nothing to do or when you don't feel like doing anything, just be with yourself. Just be present and in the moment with yourself, and you'll understand that you're going to be happier. See, guys, so do you ever feel like a failure sometimes? I promise you, the thing is that sometimes in my life I feel like a failure. And what I do to overcome failure type thoughts and stuff like that is I try to produce more content, or I try to relax. I try to read something, for example. I just try to develop myself the best way I can. And you have to understand that in life, when I develop myself over time, what happens is I start to become happier because I'm producing content and because I'm doing something in my life that's giving me meaning, for example. So you have to realize that in ways you have to understand that you have to grow, okay? And when you grow, you're going to always understand that you might feel like a failure when you grow, for example. But the thing is that you have to realize that if you're moving forward in your life, what's going to happen is you're going to do better because you're moving forward. So some time in your life right now, you have to understand grow. And just grow the best way you can every single day. So you have to understand that no matter what happens in life, you have to do the best job you can every single day. You have to understand to always develop yourself in the best kind of way, and that's what you need to do. You see, guys, if they block you for no reason whatsoever, just move on, because you don't need those type of people in your life who are blocking you and who don't want to be around you. You understand? So the thing is that you have to always associate yourself with people who are growing and people who are producing content out there, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Tony Robbins, for example, and people who are motivational, who are going to lift you, for example. You have to be around these people every single day, and you have to always grow in terms of some type of content where you can read as much content as possible and then produce it. You understand? Produce something in your life, and that way you're going to be having a meaningful life. You're going to be doing something that's straightforward every single day, that's going to help you to do better in your life. Because if you're not trying to do better in your life, I promise you, then you're going to feel like a failure, and you're going to also not be where you need to be in life. So you understand that you need to do better, so grow. You see, guys, so what is true love with another human being? I promise you, first of all, it's respect and appreciation, to have someone in your life who is someone that you respect and admire. And first of all, you have to understand that the more you realize that you have to treasure this person. So when you treasure this person in a way that you try to help them to grow, you buy them a drink, you make sure you do things for them in terms of manual handling or through words or through encouragement. You make sure that you encourage this person to do better every single day. For example, you give them ideas, or you try to surround yourself around them. for example, or you just try to take them out for dinner, or you try to take them out somewhere every single day, for example, or you just even communicating to them is a sign of love. Do you understand? So you have to realize that if you want to do better, just communicate more to those who you love. You understand? That's going to change and shape you in a better way. You see, guys, this is what you have to stop doing. You have to stop pointing out people's flaws. So you don't go out there calling people fat and ugly and stupid and an idiot or something negative where they may feel down on themselves because of something you said. Try to uplift people in every single moment. Try to give them compliments. Try to make sure every single day that people are feeling good about you, in terms of that they feel good around you. Yes, and that's the whole point of being an inspiring person. So you have to understand that. For example, I've had people in my life call me Danny, you are fat, or you are not speaking properly in your quotes, or you're not making common sense. For example, I promise you, the thing is that people are trying to point out my flaws. I promise you don't have to point out people's flaws in life. I promise you, all you have to do is inspire them and lift them up. You see, guys, so what is mindset? For example, so mindset is anything to do with a philosophy that you can grow in. So, for example, if you have a philosophy, you have a certain mindset that you can teach other people. So you have to understand that you are born with experiences, okay? You have experiences in your life, and that's your philosophy, okay? That's your mindset. And if you're not spreading your mindset out there into the world, then people are not going to know you, and people are not going to appreciate you as much as they can appreciate you, for example. So you have to understand that people do appreciate you to some level, but they'll appreciate you even more when you're inspiring them and lifting them and giving them positive knowledge and making sure that every single day that people out there have what they need and deserve in terms of your experience and your story. You understand? So when you express your story, you express your mindset, you express your philosophy. You see, guys, so why do you have to organize your thinking? So you have to understand that the more you organize your thinking, the more clarity you have, okay? So you have to realize that the more you realize to write things down, I promise you what happens is you start to notice small improvements in yourself in terms of what you're going to do today, what you're going to do tomorrow, what you're going to do next month, next week, next year, okay? What you're going to do in the next 20 years. You're going to understand that is all organizational thinking. Okay, so you have to realize that ways you can organize your thinking is through quotes, or through audio programs or video programs, or even a writing journal, or you can write an ebook or a type of book out there like nonfiction or even fictional books help other people to grow. So you have to understand that all you have to do is organize yourself around by planning your life, okay? And that's what you do in a journal, and that is what you do in life. You see, I'll tell you something right now, that they don't want you to become famous. Do you understand? But the reason they don't want you to become famous is because they're protecting you. Okay, and how are they protecting you? Because if you look at Jesus Christ, for example, you understand that when he became famous, they killed him. You understand that John F. Kennedy, when he became famous, they killed him. You understand Martin Luther King Jr., when he became famous, they killed him. You understand Mahatma Gandhi, when he became famous, they killed him. You know what I'm saying? So you have to realize that fame is fortune, but it's also dangerous. Okay, so you have to realize that is why the universe is protecting you and telling you that fame is not the answer. Okay, what the answer is I understand, is helping people. So you have to understand that you have to help people like Mahatma Gandhi helped people, and like Jesus Christ helped people, and like Martin Luther King Jr. helped people. You understand? You see, your ability to speak words and to actually be able to plan out your dreams every single day by making sure that you're doing something productive, okay? You have to realize that when you do that, when you do productive way of thinking, and when you turn off the television, for example, and when you turn off Netflix and you start to produce content, you get yourself in the mood, you get yourself happier, you get yourself in a nice and beautiful selfless state. You understand? Because that's what selfless people do. And you have to understand that it's much more how you have to be generous, and you have to be generous with something of your life. So what I can produce the most in life is words, but you have to understand that there's only a certain amount of money I can give you, okay? Because I don't have a lot of money, but I do have a lot of words. And words is priceless. I promise you, you can never buy my words out. You can never buy me out with money. You can never buy my love with money. But you have to understand that when I give you words, I give it freely. I give it from a blessing of my disguise. You see, so why is reading important? Okay, so when I read, for example, you have to understand it improves my thinking. I get to have much more clarity. I build confidence. I have much more knowledge. I have wisdom. And because I have wisdom in my life, I have much more life experiences. I have much more detail about my direction and where I want to go. Because, for example, when you look at all the minds in the world and you start investing yourself in those minds and you start really, really digging deep into their experiences and you find direction in that. And the reason you find direction in that is because they teach you something of ideas. And you have to understand that there's a quote going around saying that great minds discuss ideas. Average people discuss events. Poor people discuss people. You understand? So you have to realize that's really true. So you have to understand that if you really want to develop yourself in your mindset and your cognitive function and motor skills, make sure you read. You see, guys, your ability to push yourself in ways that you've never been pushed before, you have to understand that when you do push yourself so much to either produce content or to do something physical or to be able to get out there and push yourself with effort, I promise you, you have to understand that's called determination. Okay, so when you have determination in life to succeed, you're going to have all the effort in the world in your footsteps. So you have to understand that effort comes from inside of you. You have to understand you cannot expect other people to live your life for you, and you cannot expect other people to walk your shoes. But what you can expect is of yourself to do greater than before, to be your best version. You understand? So you have to understand that takes effort. So when you are becoming your best version in life, you're going to be happy, you're going to be confident, and you're going to be able to understand how you have energy and how you have a better life. You see, so what is your direction? You have to understand that your direction is asking questions. So the more you ask questions, the more you can answer your questions. Or the more you can actually ask other people those questions and they can answer those questions for you. You understand? So that's all a part of learning, isn't it? And that's all part of philosophy. You understand? Because psychology and sociology and economics and finance and spirituality and everything to do with self-help and non-fiction and fiction is all about imagination and solving problems. You understand? So you have to understand that when I produce content and when I speak words, I try to solve your problems. I try to give you as much value for your dollar. You understand? Because you have to understand every single day, I'm not trying to get your money. I'm trying to provide you value first so that I can get somewhere in life in terms of my mindset, so that I can become my best version, so that I can motivate myself to grow. And that's what it's all about. Do you want to know what's the best thing about life? You have to understand words. I mean, when you can speak words, you can speak directions in people. I mean, do you understand what I mean? I mean, you can go and inspire people. You can develop yourself. You can be improvement all you like. You can say whatever you can say whatever the fuck you want. Okay? And I never swear in my videos or anything like that because I understand that swearing has its time and place in communication sometimes. But you have to realize that you have to be real sometimes. And you have to understand that when you expose your words out there, people are going to see you for who you truly are. You understand? And when you understand that people understand your words and what you are all about, I mean, do you understand how that is great? You have to understand every single day, when you understand why I do what I do, then you understand why I speak the words I do. You understand? So that's why you have to improve regardless. You guys can see that I do this all for free. And now, the reason I do it for free is because it's my passion. And I'd rather do it for free than get paid for it. And why is that? Because I don't rely on other people to give me money to do my passion. You understand? I promise you, no amount of money can buy me out in terms of my passion. I promise you, you have to understand it's much more how when you provide a service first for free, you can understand that you have to create abundance in the world first. I promise you, the more abundance you make in the world through words and through information and through mindset and philosophy and through psychology and everything that you can even talk about, You have to understand that you have to make a difference. And when you make first a difference in people's lives, I promise you, then you make a product, and guess what? I promise you, everyone will buy from you because you help them. You see, guys, you have to get very good in terms of life in what you do. So you have to understand that the more you do greater in terms of what you do, I promise you, people are going to see that. And because people see that about you, that you are doing even better than them in some areas of life, and they're not supposed to be comparing with me. You're not supposed to be comparing with me, but in a way that you realize that you need to never compare with other people. You need to compare with yourself only, okay? And you have to understand that you have to be your best self. I have to be my best self. They have to be their best self. I promise you, you understand? You have to understand that it's more how when you get places with your information in terms of what you're speaking, you have to be so good in what you do to eventually make it. You understand? So you have to practice and practice and practice and practice and practice. And then eventually communication becomes easy. You see, guys, when you're leading yourself, you have to understand everything about yourself, okay? You have to understand every single moment of your life. And you have to explain it to people. You have to understand, you have to dig deep in your story. You have to be someone in life. You understand? You have to understand that some people don't want to be anybody. You understand? I promise you, the reason is that they do have some kind of frightness. I mean, they feel scared to become somebody. You understand? So you have to realize that everybody's a somebody to somebody. You understand? But the thing is that what I'm trying to really say is that they're not helping people enough. You understand? They're trying to help themselves only and just maybe their family members. You understand? And that's where they stay. And they just stay there. But if you look at me, I'm not just trying to help my family members. I'm trying to help everyone, man. I'm trying to help everyone through the words that I speak. You understand? I'm trying to produce as much content as possible so that I can make a difference. You see, guys, you have to be very passionate about yourself. You have to understand that you have to touch your moments in life in terms of your freedom and your courage and your repertoire. You have to understand that your resume is your Instagram. Your resume is your YouTube account. And if you don't have an Instagram and YouTube account, then guess what? I promise you, you have to start making one, and you have to start branding yourself really fast right now, because what you can do is you can make a business on the side where you can understand, where you can go public speaking places. You can invest in yourself in a way that you can bring crowds to your name. You understand? And people will pay you for something. Do you understand? Because you have that advice. You have what you need in yourself right now. So all you need to understand is you need to express your story, because that's how I started. I started to express all my deepest fears about life. And now when I understand that people are not rejecting me, you have to understand that I feel good about myself because I'm expressing myself. You see, guys, there's a sense of urgency right now in the world, and you have to understand that you have to become more aware. You have to start developing your communicational skills fast, and the way you do that is you start teaching now your life. You start teaching your life right now. You start to embrace words. You start to embrace yourself right now. You start to expose yourself into the planet as much as possible. You understand? And you have to understand, this is what I've been reading from other people, and I'm seeing and I see what other people are doing. I see exactly why they are in the spotlight and why they're helping people out there and why they're millionaires and why they're billionaires and how they're providing a service to people and how they're actually professional about what they say, and they're living in integrity, for example, and they have a mindset of gold. You understand? Because they are communicating. You understand? They are every single day out there, getting up early, making sure that people are passionate about their work. They're making sure that people have much more to do. You understand? So that's what you need to do. You see, this is exactly what you need to do. You need to focus on self-improvement every single day. You just need to focus on yourself to improve. You need to make yourself and your life better. You have to have more finances. You have to have more mindset. You have to have more spirituality. You have to have more wisdom. Okay? And you have to develop yourself. And the best way I do it is I speak words. I start teaching my life as quickly as possible, as much as I can. I go all directions in words. You understand? Because I have freedom of speech. And you have to understand that you only live life once. So make it worth it. You understand? You have to understand that if you grow yourself, you can always go in a better place. You can always go and live with the best of them. You understand? You can be the best of the best in what you do, but you have to practice every single day, something that you're passionate about, I promise you. So make sure every single day that you're passionate about yourself the most, to just grow and to talk better than yesterday. You understand? To do things better than yesterday, to have better habits than yesterday. You see, guys, you need to you have to let yourself prosper. You have to let yourself become everything that you ever want to be. You have to understand, you have to stop letting yourself down, okay? And the best way to uplift yourself every single day is to speak some words. So you have to understand that if you write in your journal, that's how I started. I write it in my journal. I write everything in my journal. And when I write things in my journal, I become much more confident about my communication, okay? And why do I become much more confident about my communication is because I'm writing things down. I'm actually communicating on a daily basis. And I'm not communicating to other people in person as much, but what I'm doing in life is I'm trying to communicate via online tendencies by communicating to you guys out there who are listening to this message. And that's where I communicate the most, okay? And you have to realize that when I'm around other people, for example, I stay much more silent, for example, because I understand that people don't like smartasses, for example. So I realize that if you really want to do better, make sure that every single day you're doing better. You see, so what is the goal in life? You have to understand your goals have to be something that is going to help improve you every single day. So you have to understand that you have to make goals through your writing journal. So if you're not, I promise you, if you're not somebody who has a writing journal, for example, then you have to start writing things down. You have to start jotting things down for yourself in audio fashion or video fashion or through writing materials. And the important factor to understand is this is all for your benefit and it's all for your growth. So you have to understand that you have to push yourself to create something, okay? You have to create something at least. So when you create something, you're going to have much more gratefulness in life. You're going to be much more proud of your achievements because you're developing your mindset, you understand? So you have to understand that when you develop your mindset, you're going to become a better person. And that's why that is the ultimate goal, which is to become a better person, do you understand? So when you become a better person, I promise you, you're going to have much more love in yourself. You see, guys, the main reason why I do what I do is so that I can benefit myself the most. You understand? So, for example, when I benefit myself, then I help to benefit you in some kind of fashion. So all I do is because I'm a life coach, for example, I give life skills. I teach people experience in terms of my experience, and when I teach people my experience, people benefit from that experience in some way, shape or form. So I have to always make sure that I'm talking better, and when I'm talking better, I actually find something better to do. In a sense, because you have to understand that every single day of your life, you have to be always making sure that you're doing something productive, making sure you turn off the television, for example, and start doing something to help yourself to develop. You understand? And that's why reading is so important, because reading feeds your mind with knowledge, and then once you gain that knowledge for yourself, you start applying that language to yourself, and then when you apply language, guess what happens? You become much more creative. You see, guys, you have to invest yourself with knowledge, and knowledge just makes you smarter. So the more you actually grow with knowledge, okay, you'll understand that you start producing that knowledge for yourself. And what happens is you have to understand that the best way to learn today is to teach other people what you learn, okay? And when you teach other people what you learn about, you start to grow as a person, and you start to develop yourself. And that's the whole point of life. And you have to understand that my goal is only to become better than yesterday, and to just compare with myself, to understand that I am in my own type of league. So what I need to do on my daytime schedule or nighttime schedule is to just develop myself with books, making sure that I'm producing as much content as possible every single day, so that people can grow, and so that I can grow myself into that person who's more mature and who understands much more wise knowledge in terms of everything that I've learned. Yes, and that's what I give out in the world. I give out what I can to succeed. I see, guys, so why do you have to become healthy? I see, when you become healthy as a person, you're just going to feel greater. You're going to be able to describe much more. You're going to be able to be much more confident. You're going to feel self-esteem. You're going to have much more courage. You're going to have more money, for example, in your pocket. And you have to understand that when you look healthy as a person, what happens is you start to exuberate those feelings that you have. And the way you do that is you express yourself the most, you understand? And the way you express yourself is through knowledge. You understand? And you have to understand knowledge is the key factor in your life. And the amount of money you have in your pocket or the amount of awareness you have in life is related to the knowledge you have. You understand? So if you have more knowledge in your life, you're going to be enriched in life. You're going to have much more enriching feelings. You're going to feel much greater. And that's the whole point of making sure every single day that you're just growing as an individual and making sure that you reach your own record. You understand? Making sure that you're always pushing yourself to grow. You see, guys, this is the thing about being alone. When you are alone, I promise you, guess what? I promise you no violence is happening. For example, and you also, for example, you get to live life more and you get to be much more at peace with yourself because you're improving. You're making sure every single day you're doing something that's productive, okay? And when you do something that is, for example, productive, you'll always be developing yourself. You understand that being alone is a treasure. And once you're alone with yourself, you have to express yourself the most you can. You understand? Because sometimes you want to go somewhere, but it doesn't happen because you either slept in or you didn't. But the thing is that you have to realize that you have to experience life more anyway. So what you do is you be alone more because that gives you more strength. But make sure you take yourself out for a drink somewhere if you need to. But make sure that you're always kind to yourself. You see, guys, if you want to improve, you have to understand, you have to develop your mindset. So when you develop your mindset, you're just going to be a better person. So you have to understand every single day is always going to be a new day. So you have to always develop yourself in some kind of manner so that you can actually move forward. So you have to always public speak if you can, or you can go and develop yourself with Toastmasters and make sure you get yourself around successful people, because when you're around successful people, that success is going to rub off on you and you're just going to become a better person after all. You understand? So every single day, try to always do something today that's going to be kind toward other people and kind toward yourself, making sure you're improving your habits every single day, making sure every single day that you're doing something that's always going to never prevent you from moving forward. You understand? So you have to always understand, if you have nothing to do, make sure you're reading, make sure that you make quotes or something like that. Make sure you understand every single day that you need a YouTube channel so that you can grow. You see, guys, you need to be a creator of life. You have to start creating something. You either create something that's going to help other people, or you create a better life for yourself. You start being a crafts person. You understand? You have to realize that creating is a part of life. So no matter what, you have to understand that if you're not helping other people, then what kind of purpose do you have? I promise you, what is your purpose in life? Your purpose in life is to benefit yourself and to benefit other people in some kind of way. Do you understand? So every single day, the reason you have to always grow in terms of life is because when you grow, you're going to grow much more in your development, in terms of your mindset, and you're going to be able to understand much more life when you understand how to grow. So you have to read as much as possible every single day. Make sure that you're doing things that help you to grow, okay? Making sure that your habits are better than yesterday. So just change one thing about you every single day, and that way you always develop yourself. You see, guys, your ability to self-accept yourself, to be a person who's self-accepting yourself, for example, being able to forgive yourself, being able to love yourself, being able to get out there in terms of life, making sure you're making a difference, for example. But you have to realize that self-acceptance is key. And you have to understand that people out there don't accept themselves. For example, they eat too much food, or they drink too much alcohol, or they drink alcohol or cigarettes, and they're disturbing their immune system, for example. So you have to love your immune system. You have to love the person you are. Because when you love the person you are, people are going to see that. I promise you, people are going to see that you're taking care of yourself, that you're looking good, that you're trying, and that you are shining in some kind of way. So you have to realize that you have to stop being a drug addict, okay? I promise you, you have to understand that it's not about drugs. So I'm not saying that you're a drug addict, but you have to realize, don't do drugs to help your life. You see, guys, the moment you stop neglecting yourself with drugs and alcohol, for example, or you start loving yourself more, you're going to feel much more vibration. You're going to have much more energy in life, and you're going to have much more benefits to your life. You're going to be able to live longer. You're going to be having clear in terms of clarity in life. You're going to be understanding, you're going to have clarity in life. You're going to be able to do things that other people who are unhealthy, that you have to realize that other people who are unhealthy in terms of life, that they can't do something. So you have to realize that you have to understand that healthy people can do things that unhealthy people can't do. You understand? So you have to realize that you're going to be able to grow. You're going to be able to understand much more of life because you're accepting yourself, because you're loving yourself. So a self acceptance is key to being a better person. You understand? So you have to really love yourself every single day and make sure that your words are living your talk. You have to be living your talk. You see, guys, living the dream is about living your words. It's about speaking what you talk about in ways that other people can grow. In a sense, so you have to realize that there's always a purpose out there for you waiting. You understand? You have to realize you have to catch that dream. You have to be in the spotlight as much as possible. But the thing is that it's not about being famous, because you have to understand it's much more about helping yourself to grow in ways that you've never grown before. You understand? So you have to realize that when you speak about things in a different way, you can actually move toward a greater life. You can actually help yourself to explain things that other people are unable to explain. You can actually do things that other people cannot do, because in your words comes freedom. And you have to understand that you can always live free when you live in the words. When you understand that words are everything. You understand words create life. Words manifest dreams. And if you know how to speak words, okay, you will understand that you have to develop yourself regardless, but that's how you create your dreams. You see, guys, when you're overflowing with content, okay, when you're so much more producing so much content, when you're producing so much content, for example, what happens is things start to overflow in your life. You actually have a cup full of water in terms of life that's overflowing, and it's really, really helping you grow. You understand? So you have to understand that when you produce as much as you can in terms of words or music or anything that you can produce in terms of images or anything in life that you can help out with in terms of help yourself with, you have to understand suddenly your world is transformed into this nice and beautiful way where you can actually explain yourself, you can do things, you can help yourself to grow, you can help yourself and other people to prosper with finances or whatever it is that you talk about in your life. I promise you have to realize every single day, I promise you need to prosper and grow with yourself the most, but make sure that you're loving yourself and other people by being generous with words every single day. You see, guys, expressing yourself every day is the best tool that you can use in your vocabulary right now to actually grow. Yes, and so you have to realize personal development is all about psychology, economics, and all the books out there that you can read. For example, you have to understand that you have to speak that into fruition. You have to lead your life by setting the sail, as Jim Rohn says. So you have to understand that when you're driving something in terms of content out there into the planet, in terms of internet and into the world, I promise you, the more you produce in terms of anything that you can every single day by helping yourself to express yourself every single day, I promise you, you're going to feel better. I promise you, it's a nice and beautiful thing when you have freedom of speech every single day and you can help people in terms of something that you're doing. So you have to understand that there's a limit to how much money you can give in the world, but there's no limit in terms of life to the words you can give in life. You know what I'm saying? So you have to realize that when you exuberate, when you exuberate things in life, and when you really grow in terms of everything that you can do every single day, I promise you that's the best way of life. It's just expressing yourself the most you can every single day to do a better way of life. Do you guys want to know what success is? I realize success is different for everyone, but the thing is that what my success in life and what I think about success is those people who produce the most content in life have the most information to give. And when they have the most information to give out there, I promise you it's more that they're more passionate about what they do, because every single day they have something to do around information work in the planet. And because they're always out there trying to help other people with information giving, I promise you that's what creates their happiness and meaning in life. You understand? So that's why I regard that as successful, okay? But also another type of success is being able to stay away from drugs, being a sober person, for example, making sure that your habits are better than yesterday, and making sure you're vegan. Being a vegan is successful, okay, because it's a big discipline that in your life that you take care of yourself in that kind of way. But the thing is that success is different for everyone, so make sure that you go and define your own success. You see, this is why you must never kill yourself. Well, first off, make sure you understand that you have a life, okay, and you have to understand that your life is important, okay? You are important as a person, okay? And because you are important, and I'm telling you now that you're important, and because you're important, you have to realize your life has to always be the best it can be, okay? Because you have to realize there are people out there doing worse than you, for example, and you have to realize because there are people out there doing worse than you and they have much more less experiences than you have to realize that life is worth living, because you have to understand there's always this whole experience of life that you can actually live that you've never lived before. And you have to understand, you have to start really motivating yourself in ways that grow you, because you have to understand that when you grow, you're going to have much more meaning in life. Okay, so the thing is that you must never kill yourself, because life is too damn good.